Okay, I'm going to start off with some chipmunk footage since I haven't shown any animals for a really long time, and I bet people are itching to see the animals of Yellowstone. Seeing all the natural wonders of Yellowstone National Park is most of the trip, but it's not everything with regards to your total Yellowstone experience package, so to speak. It really depends on who you're in the car with for all those days and who you're walking around with, and if you have different habits, things can fall apart pretty quickly. If you're like me, you'll want to spend a lot of time in the outdoors and spend a lot of time using your camera to capture pictures and video footage of the wonders you're seeing. But if you're traveling with a bunch of people with incompatible personalities, if they have big city fetish or, they're antsy, they just can't stay still for more than a few seconds, and they always feel like they have to be entertained in sort of an urban environment, then obviously that spells doom for your experience. But that's why for vacations in which you go with friends or other people, non-family, non-relatives, then you can choose the conditions and the people you go with. But if you're going with family, that could be really tough, I can imagine. So like with any other long road trips or vacations, this is always a really big flashpoint for conflict. To make a long story short, amazingly enough, I went with two complete strangers through no fault or accident of our own. It was just, there were 5 people, 2 people had to back out for an emergency, and, I'd already booked plane tickets. But, looking back in retrospect, I don't regret going at all. I mean, this is a beautiful place. I love national parks and nature. So I got what I wanted out of the trip. And, I just had to be really patient with the company I was with. They didn't seem to be too keen on, integrating me into their little social circle. So it was kind of, an experience. Most extroverts I know wouldn't even attempt something like that. And I don't think I'll try that again just because of clashing personalities. I think you at least should have to meet someone at least once in person before you go on a trip with them, because there's going to be a lot of tension. Now, if you're going with kin, there's really nothing you can do. With close family, I mean, you're stuck with the people you're related to, and if you have clashing personalities, you're pretty much resigned to doom at that point. But if you're going with people other than your kin, then the conflicts can come from all sorts of places. When do you eat? What kind of food do you like? Everyone has a different kind of palate too, and if other people like to eat cheap junk all the time, and you're used to at least eating at mid-end restaurants or even fine dining or good home cooking, you're going to be in for a lot of tension throughout the trip. Pacing is also a really big issue. I walk really fast, and if I'm not videotaping anything, then I can just zoom by. But I do like to stand and observe a lot of things. So I was just kind of walking ahead of my company if I wasn't into videotaping stuff for 30 seconds, and then I'd have to wait for them, and vice versa. Sometimes I was videotaping a lot of stuff and they'd be out of sight literally, and I'd have to walk really fast or run to catch up to them. So I probably got on their nerves a little bit like that, but at the same time, when it came time to cover a lot of ground, they kind of got on my nerves. So pacing is an issue, and especially if you have a group or a big group, you can just assume that you're going to go slow. So if you go fast and you're in great shape, then that's going to definitely disappoint. When I was a kid, I was in pretty good shape too, but as a kid, it's just, for whatever reason, I didn't feel like getting out of the car every 2 or 3 minutes in Yellowstone. And I think that's how a lot of kids are. So if you're traveling with kids, Yellowstone might really try your patience and temper. But if you're traveling with a bunch of people who are in about the same shape, then you should have a really good time and no problem getting along. I have a very high vitality level these days, I can do stuff all day, be driving all day and walking around all day and not have sore feet and not get fatigued. But there are people who aren't like that, and if they're on the other side of the spectrum, it's going to be tough.